The release of long-anticipated government documents relating to the late financier, Jeffrey Epstein, has reignited debate in the United States. But the sharpest reaction has come not from critics of former President Donald Trump, but from within his own political support base. For years, Epstein's crimes and his associations with powerful figures have been the subject of intense public interest. Calls for transparency have come from across the political spectrum, fueled by distrust of institutions and the belief that key information has been withheld from the public. When the latest tranche of documents was finally released, many supporters expected clarity. Instead, the heavily redacted material has left some frustrated, raising broader questions about transparency, trust, and the future stability of Trump's political coalition. Jeffrey Epstein died in federal custody in 2019, while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. His death, ruled a suicide following multiple investigations, ended the legal case, but did little to settle public interest in the network of people who had associated with him over decades. Epstein's wealth, influence, and access to prominent figures across politics, business, and entertainment have made his case unusually resonant. Photographs, flight logs, and social records have been examined repeatedly by journalists and the public alike. Legal experts have consistently warned that social contact alone does not imply criminal wrongdoing. Nonetheless, Epstein's confirmed crimes have left a lingering sense among many Americans that the full story has never been told, that perception has only deepened in the digital age, where online communities continue to scrutinize every new development. During last year's election campaign, Donald Trump said he would support the release of Epstein-related investigation files. The comments were welcomed by supporters who believed that a future Trump administration would be more forthcoming than its predecessors. Earlier this year, Attorney General Pam Bondi added to those expectations when she said that Epstein-related documents were under review and sitting on her desk. For many supporters, particularly those active on social media and alternative media platforms, the statements were interpreted as a signal that significant new information would soon become public. That anticipation built steadily over months. When the documents were released, however, the response was muted. The files contained some previously unseen material, including photographs and references to individuals who had social contact with Epstein. The Justice Department stressed that inclusion in the documents does not indicate criminal activity and that many names appear solely because of proximity, not misconduct. What drew the most attention were the redacted, were blacked out, including names, locations, and investigative details. Officials cited legal constraints, privacy protections, and the need to safeguard third parties who were not charged with crimes. For many supporters, the explanations were unsatisfactory. On social media platforms, criticism emerged quickly. Some accused the Justice Department of releasing documents in name only, while others claimed the redactions undermined the very idea of transparency. The department has rejected accusations of a cover-up, maintaining that it released all material it could legally make public. Political analysts say the reaction reveals more about the state of public trust than about the documents themselves. Joe Usinski, an associate professor of political science at the University of Miami who studies conspiracy beliefs, has argued that, for some voters, transparency is no longer defined by process, but by outcome. People don't simply want documents released, he has said in previous research. They want documents that confirm what they already believe. In that context, heavily redacted files can deepen suspicion rather than reduce it, particularly among audiences already inclined to distrust government institutions, courts, and mainstream media. The Epstein case, analysts say, has become a symbol not just of criminal wrongdoing, but of perceived elite protection and institutional failure. Trump's political movement has evolved significantly over the past decade. While traditional Republican voters remain a core part of his support, Trump has also attracted large numbers of voters who were previously disengaged from party politics. Many are younger, digitally connected, and influenced more by podcasts, live streams, in social media than by party platforms or policy papers. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles has acknowledged concerns about the durability of this coalition. In comments reported earlier this year, she described Epstein-focused voters as politically engaged through online culture rather than long-standing party loyalty. Her concern reflects a broader challenge for the Republican Party: how to retain voters drawn to Trump's personality and rhetoric, rather than to the party itself, polling data suggests. Those concerns may be well-founded. A survey released in December by the Manhattan Institute found that nearly one-third of Trump voters were first-time Republican voters in the most recent election. Of those voters, only slightly more than half said they would definitely support Republican candidates in the next midterm elections. The findings indicate that Trump has broadened the party's appeal, but also that a significant portion of his support may be conditional and volatile. Political strategists warn that controversies like the Epstein files could test that loyalty. One of the more striking elements of the fallout has been the reaction from conservative online influencers. Several prominent figures who had previously devoted significant attention to Epstein-related content offered little public comment after the document release. A small number said the files exonerated Trump from any wrongdoing. While others did not address the release at all, their silence did not go unnoticed. Some supporters accused influencers of selectively criticizing institutions only when it suited political narratives. Others argued that the lack of reaction suggested disappointment with the material. The episode has exposed tensions between online audiences and the personalities who influence them, highlighting the limits of influencer-driven political engagement in Congress. Criticism of the document release has been more explicit. Republican Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, who played a role in pushing legislation to compel the release of Epstein-related files, said the Justice Department failed to meet the spirit of the law. Massie accused officials of withholding information and has suggested that further legal or congressional action may be necessary to ensure compliance in a rare display of bipartisanship. Massie has partnered with Democratic Representative Ro Khanna to push for greater transparency. Their alliance reflects shared concerns about public trust. Even as they disagree on broader political issues, Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene also criticized the release, describing it as not MAGA, a phrase that resonated with supporters who felt let down by the outcome. At the center of much of the controversy is the Justice Department's repeated statement that there is no verified list of Epstein clients. Officials have also reaffirmed findings from multiple investigations that Epstein's death was ruled a suicide, rejecting claims of foul play. For critics who distrust official conclusions, those statements have done little to resolve doubts. Instead, they have become further evidence, in the eyes of some, that key information remains hidden. Legal experts note that investigations often fail to produce the definitive answers the public expects, particularly in complex cases involving sealed records and privacy laws. Researchers who study political extremism and online movements say the Epstein controversy is part of a broader moment of strain within the MAGA movement. Jared Holt, a senior researcher at Open Measures, has noted that earlier in the year, the movement appeared unified and confident. More recently, internal disputes over transparency, free speech, and leadership have become more visible. He cautions that online debates do not always translate into electoral outcomes, but says they can influence enthusiasm and turnout. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has said that additional Epstein-related documents could be released before the end of the year, potentially numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Whether those releases will satisfy critics remains uncertain. Analysts warn that once distrust becomes entrenched, even large-scale disclosures may fail to restore confidence, especially if expectations are not aligned with legal realities. For Donald Trump, the controversy highlights a delicate balancing act: maintaining the support of a coalition united by skepticism of institutions, while managing expectations about what transparency can realistically deliver beyond Trump and the Republican Party. The Epstein files debate raises larger questions about governance in the digital age. How should institutions balance transparency with legal obligations? How can public trust be rebuilt once it erodes? And what happens when political loyalty is shaped more by online narratives than by party structures? As further documents are released, attention will remain focused not only on what the files contain, but on how they are interpreted and what those interpretations reveal about the state of political trust in the United States. For now, the Epstein case continues to function as more than a legal matter. It has become a political mirror, reflecting the anxieties, expectations, and divisions of a movement and a country, grappling with questions of power, accountability, and belief.